Theory of missions. Which of the following discipline provides study of inertia force arising from the combined effect of the mass and the motion of the parts is kinetics? Which of the following discipline provides study of relative motion between the parts of machine? Kinematics. Which of the following discipline provides study of the relative motion between the parts of a machine and the force acting on the parts? Theory of machines. The type of air formed by two elements which are so connected that one is constrained turn or revolve about a fixed axis of another element is known as turning pair. Which of the following is a lower pair? Ball and socket and piston and cylinder and cam and followers and belt drive A and B. The lower pair is the ball and socket and piston and cylinder. Cam followers and belt drive is the higher pair. If two moving elements have surface contact in motion, such pair is known as higher pair. Have surface contact motion is the higher pair. The example of lower pair is shaft revolving in a bearing, straight line motion mechanism, automobile steering gear, and all of the above. All of these is the above. Pulley in a belt drive acts as rolling pair. Pulley in a belt drive acts as the rolling pair. The example of rolling pair is the ball bearing and roller bearing. Any point on a link connecting double-threaded crank chain will trace a ellipse. The purpose of link is to transmit motion, guide other links, act support, all of the above. The universal joint is an example of universal joint is the lower pair. Rectilinear motion of a piston is converted into rotary by sliding crank. And the value of velocity and acceleration of a piston at near dead center of a slider crank mechanism will be 0 and more than omega square RE. Velocity and acceleration of a piston at near dead center for a slider crank mechanism will be 0 and more than omega square RE. The example of spherical pair is dash ball and socket joint. Ball and socket is the lower pair also. At the spherical pair also ball and socket joint. Crosshead and guides from a sliding pair. Crosshead means the sliding pair. The number of instantaneous center for a 4-bar chain mechanism and the general for n links are 6 of n into n minus 1 by 2. Circular bar moving around hole is an example of incompletely constrained motion. Circular bar moving in a round hole is an example of incompletely constrained motion. If some links are connected such that the motion between them can take place the more than one direction is called as incompletely constrained motion. More than one direction is called. If there are L number of links in mechanism and the number of possible inversion is equal to L. Kinematic pair are those which have two elements that permit relative motion. Kinematic pairs are those which have two elements that permit relative motion. A simple mechanism has 4 legs. The lower pair is closed pair. Lower pair is the closed pair. The automobile steering gear is an example of lower pair. In a higher pair, the relative motion is dash combination of sliding and turning pair. Which of the following has a sliding motion? This is the crosshead. The example of higher pair is the belt rope mechanism, gears, cams, ball roller bearings. This is all of the above. Which of the following mechanism is obtained from lower pair is dash? All of the above. Gyroscopic, pantograph, valve and valve wire, generated straight line motions. This is all of the above. Now, which of the following would constitute a link? Piston, piston rod and crosshead. Constitute a link. Piston, piston rod and crosshead. The Scott Russell mechanism consists of sliding and turning pair. Scott Russell is the sliding and turning pairs. A Davis steering gear consists of sliding pair. Davis steering gears consist of sliding pairs. Ackermann steering gear consists of turning pair. Davis is the sliding pair. Ackermann is the turning pair. A completely constrained motion can be transmitted with 4 links with pin joints. The motion transmitted between the teeth of gear in mesh is partially sliding or partly rolling. The motion transmitted between the teeth of gear mesh is partly sliding and partly rolling. Oldham's coupling is the dash. Oldham coupling is the third inversion of double slide crank chain. Since a tangential acceleration of a link, since of a tangential acceleration of link could be either same or opposite the velocity. A mechanism is in the assemblage of four links of more than four links. Mechanism in the assemblage of four links or more than four links. The number of links in pantograph mechanism is equal to number of pantograph mechanism is equal to is the 4. Element of pairs held together mechanically is known as closed pair. Shaft revolving in a bearing as the following type of pair is the lower pair. Rectangular bar in a rectangular hole the following type of pair, completely constrained motion. A footstep bearing and rotor of vertical turbine form example of partially constrained motion. Footstep is the partially constrained motion. A slide crank chain consists of following the number of turning and sliding pairs is the 3, 1. The slide crank chain is the first one is the 3 is the turning pair, 1 is the sliding pair. The relation between number of joints and number of links L, the number of links J joints constitute the kinematic chain, and this is given by the expression by equation is the L is equal 2 by 3 J plus 2. Two joints are there and half of the links is there, the 2 by 3 J plus 2. The relationship between the number of links L and number of pairs P is equal 2L minus 4. The creation of constrained chain included AW clane connecting the number of binary joints, number of higher pairs and the number of links is the J plus 1 by 2H is equal 3 by 2L minus 2. J plus 1 by 2H is equal 3 by 2L minus 2. In problem, the chain locked event. In problem 47, chain lock LHS greater than is the RHS. Chain locked event. LHS greater than RHS. అదేవిధంగా చైన్ అన్కన్స్ట్రైన్డ్ అంటే LHS greater than RHS is the chain locked. అదేవిధంగా చైన్ అన్కన్స్ట్రైన్డ్ when LHS less than RHS. అదేవిధంగా చైన్ is constrained when LHS equal to the RHS. The tendency of a body resist change from a rest is the motion is known as inertia. Resist change of rest in the motion is known as inertia. A flywheel the type of coupling used to join to shaft to those axes are neither in the same straight line or non-parallel but intersect is dash universal coupling. The advantage of piston valve over D-slide valve is that the former case both wear and power absorbed are low. Flexible couplings is used because it prevents shock transmission and element stress reveals. With hooks joint is the possible connect to shaft, the axis of which have an angular misalignment up to 40 degrees. Hooks joint is possible shaft axis which have angular misalignment up to 40 degrees. The hooks joint is consist of two forks. Hooks joint consists of two forks. The Klein's method of construction of a reciprocating engine mechanism utilizes a quadrilateral similar to the tangential mechanism for a reciprocating engine. It is required to connect two parallel shafts and distance between those axes a small variable. The shafts are coupled by Oldham's coupling. The center of gravity link in any mechanism would express as to both angular and linear acceleration. In elliptical trammels, two pairs turning and two pairs sliding. In automobile, the power is transmitted from gearbox to differential through hooks joint. Automobile power is transmitted from a box differential through hooks joint. The inductor using watt mechanism is known as Richard indicator. The Ackermann steering mechanism is preferred. The Davies type is automobile because the former having a turning pairs. The transmission of power from the engine to the near axle of the automobile is a means of hooks joint. The transmission of power from engine to the rear axle in an automobile by means of hooks joint. When a ship travels in a sea, which of the effects is more dangerous? Pitching. In an ideal machine, the output as compared into the equal. The governing used in automobile is to control delta. The governor used in automobile is to control delta n. In gramophone, adjusting the speed of the turntable, the following type of governor is commonly employed. The Pickering governor. For fluctuating loads, well-suited bearings, needle roller bearings, fluctuating loads, needle roller bearing. Crown on pulleys helps too for automatic adjustment of a belt position so that the belt runs right. Idler pulley used for applying tension. Idler pulley is for applying tension. In multi V-belt transmission, if one belt is broken, we have to change all of the belts. All of the multi V-belt transmission, out of the belt broken, we have changed all of the belt. The moment of pulley with produced rotation is called torque. The moment of pulley which produces rotation is called torque. Creep in a belt drive is due to uneven extension and contraction due to varying tension. Creep in a belt drive is due to uneven extension and contraction due to varying tension. The horsepower transmitted by a belt in depending upon all of the above. Horsepower transmitted by a belt depend upon tension on tight side belt, tension on slack side belt, radius of pulley, speed of pulley. This is the all of the above. The locus of point, the thread unwound from the cylinder will be involute. The locus of point of thread unwound from the cylinder will be involute. To transmit power from one rotating shaft to another whose axes are neither parallel nor intersecting, use worm gear. In gear drive, module is equal to 1 by diametral pitch. Addendum is given by one module. Addendum is given by one module. The obviate axial thrust following gear drive is used. Double helical gear having opposite teeth. Obviate axial thrust following gear drive is double helical gear having opposite teeth. Which of the following is the false statement is the different mechanism structure? Efficiency of making machines as well as structures is below 100%. If D1 and D2 the diameters of driver and driven pulleys, the belt speed proportional to D1. The typewriter consists of a mechanism. Lower pairs are those which have surface contacts between two elements when in motion. Surface contact between two elements in motion. Okay. A point of link connecting double-sided crank chain is traces ellipse. Point of link connecting double-sided crank chain traces ellipse. Pantograph is the mechanism with lower pair. Kinematic pairs are those which have two elements that permit relative motion. Two elements that permit relative motion. If the positive links in a 4-bar linkage are equal to the always from a dash parallelogram. Higher pairs are those which have point or line contact between two elements when the motion. A cam mechanism imports following motion, all of the rotating, oscillating, reciprocating. This is all of the above. A cam mechanism import following motion, all of the above. A cam with a roller follows would constitute the following type of pair, higher pair. And the approximate straight line mechanism, 4-bar mechanism. Kennedy theorem also is the 4-bar. Open pairs are those which have elements pairs not held together mechanically. Piecler's mechanism has 8 links. Hot mechanism has 6 links. Piecler's is the 8 links. Hot mechanism has 6 links. A chain compresses of 5 links having 5 joints. It is kinematic chain is the no. If the following equation L equal 2 by 3 j plus 2 to determine the given chain kinematic higher pair is equal to 2 lower pairs and 2 additional pairs. 2 is the lower pairs and 2 is the additional pairs. The main disadvantage of the sliding pair is that is dash and A and B bulky and wears rapidly. For kinematic chain to constrain mechanism, one link should be fixed. An eccentric is shave pivoted at one point rotates as the transmit oscillated motion to link whose end with pivoted and other end is connected. This mechanism is a 4 links. Whitworth-Cookington mechanism obtaining by inversion of slider crank mechanism. In its simplest form, cam mechanism consists of the following number of links. It is the simplest form. Cam mechanism consists of the following number of links is the 3. Which of the following mechanism produce mathematically an exact straight line motion? Speechless mechanism. Which of the following mechanism produces mathematically in exact straight line motion is the Speechless mechanism. In a mechanism, usually one link is fixed and other link is the other link change in the kinematic chain. The relative motion is called will remain same. A kinematic chain requires least is the 4 links and 4 turning pairs. 4 links and 4 turning pairs. In a drag link return mechanism, the shortest link is always fixed. The sum of the shortest and longest link is less than sum of other two. The following is the inversion of a Lagrange chain mechanism. All of the above. A the Whitworth hand pump, oscillating cylinder engine. All of the kinematic pairs are those which have two elements having relative motion. Two elements having kinematic pairs are those which have two elements having relative motion. According to creation of construction by A.W. Klein, J plus 1 by 2H 3 by 2L minus 2. J plus 1 by 2H is equal to 3 by 2 L minus 2. A quaternary joint is equivalent to 3 binary joints. A quaternary joint is equivalent to 3 binary joints. A typewriter mechanism has 7 number of binary joints, 6 links and none of higher pairs. That mechanism is kinematically sound. In SHM, acceleration is proportional to displacement. In SHM, the ratio of acceleration and displacement is proportional to omega. In SHM, the velocity vector with respect to displacement vector leads by 90 degrees. SHM velocity with respect to vector leads by 90. Inertia force acts as opposite to the direction accelerating force. And the frequency of oscillation at a moon compared to earth will be dash 2.44 times less. The frequency of oscillation at moon compared to the earth will be 2.44 times less. Polar moment of inertia circular disk is to be determined by suspending by Wien and nothing the frequency of oscillation Ip greater than 1 by f square. The frequency of oscillation of a bigger diameter cylinder compared to a smaller cylinder inside a cylindrical concave surface will be more. The frequency of oscillation of a cylinder inside cylindrical concave surface of bigger radius compared to the small radius will be dash less. If the radius of gyration of a compound pendulum about axis through center of gravity is more, then the frequency of oscillation will be less. A body of mass m, radius of gyration k is replaced by two masses m1, m2, distance h1, h2, center of gravity kinematically equivalent original it dash. h1 is equal to h2, h1 comma h2 is equal to k square. The Biffler suspension method is used to determine moment of inertia. Which of the following is the false statement? Two rigid links which have no linear velocity related to each other at the center of have same linear third rigid link. Instantaneous center of rotation of a link in 4-bar mechanism lies on a point obtained by intersection and extension at distinct links. Instantaneous center of rotation links 4-bar mechanism lies a point obtained by interactions on exciting and adjoining lengths. The total number of instantaneous center for a mechanism of n links is n of n minus 1 by 2. N of n minus 1 by 2. The number of links and instantaneous center in a reciprocating engine mechanism is dash 4, 6. The number of links and instantaneous center the reciprocating engine mechanism the 4, 6. According to Kennedy theorem, if the bodies have plane motion, their instantaneous center lies on straight line. Kennedy's theory is the straight line. A rigid link of OA velocity with respect to O will be dash perpendicular to OA. Rigid body is always perpendicular to OA. Two systems shall be dynamically equivalent when all of the above. The link returning about 0 velocity point P with respect to point Q link will be perpendicular to PQ. The velocity of any point mechanism relative by another point of the mechanism, the relative polygon is represented by the line joining the corresponding point. The absolute acceleration of a point P link about the rotation of 0 is dash none of this above. Okay. Angular acceleration of link can be determined by dividing the tangential component of acceleration with length of link. Tangential component acceleration with the length of link. The Coriolis component of acceleration exists whenever dash rotational motion. Coriolis component of acceleration exist whenever rotational motion. The direction of correlation components of acceleration is the direction of relative velocity vector of the two constant components related by 90 degrees in the direction of the angular velocity of the rotation of the link. In a sharper mechanism, the correlation component of acceleration will exit. Sharper mechanism, the correlation component of acceleration will exit. The magnitude of tangential acceleration is equal to velocity square by Crank radius. The tangential acceleration direction is dash may be any one of these, and along with angular velocity, opposite angular velocity, perpendicular to angular velocity, this is the may be any of these. The magnitude of the correlation component of acceleration of slider moving at velocity v of a link rotating at angular speed omega 2v omega. Correlation component is encoded in quick-return mechanism of Shaper. Klein's constraint gives a graphical constraint for acceleration polygon. Klein's construction is the acceleration polygon. The velocity of slider with reference a fixed point about which bar rotating and slider bar will be dash somewhere between about 2. Klein's construction can be used to determine acceleration at various spots when the crank is at 45 degrees the line of stroke. The number of dead centers in a crank driven crank mechanism are dash 2. The number of dead centers in a crank driven slider crank mechanism is 2. Correlation component acts as perpendicular to sliding surfaces. Correlation component acts as perpendicular to sliding surfaces. The scenes of correlation components such as that leads the sliding velocity vector by 90 degrees. The correlation component leads the sliding vector by 90. Klein's constraint can be used. The crank has a uniform angular velocity. Klein's constraint can be used when crank has a uniform angular velocity. Klein's constraint is useful to determine acceleration of various. Klein's construction is useful to determine acceleration of variation pods. A circle passing through the pitch point, the center of cam axle is known as prime circle. The pressure angle of a cam depends upon all of the above. Cam size depends upon base circle. Cylindrical cam can be classified as none of this above. The maximum value of the pressure angle in a cam is kept as 30 degrees. For the same left, the same angle ascent base circle will be a large value of pressure angle. Cam angle defined as the angle of rotation of the cam, definite displacement of the follower. The angle of descent cam defined as the angle during which followers returns to the position. Angle of action of a cam is defined as the angle moved by the cam from beginning of the ascent to the termination of the descent. This is angle of action key. Angle of dual cam defined as the through which cam rotates during the period in which roller remains in highest position. Next, angle of ascent. Angle of angle, angle of angle, angle of dual, angle of ascent. Angle of ascent is the moved by the cam from the instant follower begins rise to reach a higher position. The angle of at any point of the pitch curve, the scale included normal to the point on the curved line motion of followers at the instant known as pressure angle. SHM cam, the acceleration of the followers at the ends of the stroke at the mid stroke respectively, a maximum and zero. A throw of cam is the maximum distance of the follower from base circle. Throw of cam is the maximum distance of the follower by base circle. For simple harmonic motion, cam followers a cosine curve represents acceleration diagram. Pitch point is a cam is at the point cam pitch curve having the maximum pressure angle. If the Scotiac mechanism correlation component is there not involved in a cam follower's motion, jerk is expressed by omega square dq y by dtq. Omega square dq y by dtq. A cam in which the following reciprocates or oscillates in a plane parallel to axis of the cam is known as cylindrical cam. In case of flat pivot bearing, the frictional force in case of uniform pressure can be assumed to be acting at 2 by 3 R. In case of flat pivot bearing, the frictional force in case of uniform bear can be assumed to be at the this is one is the flat pivot by 175. 175 is the 175 is the B. 175 is the B. 1 by 2 R. In case of pivot bearing, frictional force in case of uniform bear can be assumed to be 1 by 2 R. In case of flat polar bearing, frictional force in case of uniform pressure can be assumed to be acting as 2 by 3 r1 cube minus r2 cube by r1 square minus r2 square. In case of flat fill or collar pivot bearing, the frictional force in case of uniform wear can be assumed to acting as 1 by 2 r1 plus r2, 1 by 2 r1 plus r. Rope brake dynamometer uses no lubricant. Rope brake dynamometer uses no lubricant. The most commonly used dynamometer for test in the laboratory is the Prony brake dynamometer. The most commonly used dynamometer test or laboratory is Prony brake dynamometer. The following dynamometer used to power measurement when the speed high and viscous force is small. Test fluid friction dynamometer. For large ranges of power and speed of accurate measurement of the power, the following dynamometer: Froude water vortex dynamometer. Froude water vortex dynamometer. The following dynamometer is widely used for absorption of wide range of power at wide range of speeds. Hydraulic. For measuring power machines having a high speed and completely low outputs, following dynamometer uses electric generator dynamometer. For measuring power machines having high speed and completely low outputs, following dynamometers use electric generator meter. Which of the following is the transmission dynamometer? None of this above. Which of the following type of dynamometer used when they decide to measure the large power, the steam turbine propeller, the naval ship, the torsion dynamometer? The brake commonly used to train bogies is dash shoe brake. Train bogies is the shocking. Pick up the wrong statement. The flywheel controls the mean speed of rotation. The radius of gyration of disc type flywheel of diameter is d. The radius of gyration disc type flywheel diameter d by 4. A flywheel absorbs energy during those periodic crank rotation when the turning moment of greater than resisting moment of absorption is accommodation by increased speed. The contact angle in a tapped roller bearing is between 12 to 16. Contact and tapped roller bearing is the 12 to 16. For heavy thrust, contact angle tapped roller bearings varies 28 to 30 degree. Heavy thrust. Contact angle the tapped roller 12 to 16. For heavy thrust 28 to 30. As well as greased balls bearings, the coefficient of friction may be 0.1 to 0.2. As well as greased ball bearing, the coefficient of friction may be coefficient of friction 0.1 to 0.2. Fluctuation of energy of an engine is that the variation of energy above and below the mean resisting torque lane. The fluctuation of energy in engine, variation of energy above and below mean resisting torque lane. Maximum fluctuation of energy is the difference between the maximum and minimum energies. Coefficient of fluctuation of energy is the ratio of maximum fluctuation energy, the work done per cycle. Coefficient of fluctuation of speed is the maximum fluctuation of energy in the flywheel. All of this above. The rim type of flywheel, the major mass concentrated around the periphery. The supply of working fluid, the engine should the load condition controlled by governor. The speed variation of the engine caused by the fluctuation of engine turning moment or controlled by flywheel. Speed variation. Okay. For same lift of sleeve range of speed of propeller governor as compared to Porter governor is dash more. The sleeve range of speed propeller governor compared to Porter governor is the more. The hot nail governor, if the stiffness of spring is increased, governor will be dash more sensitive. The governor used in a gramophone of the following type: Pickering. For a governor running at a constant speed, the force acting on the sleeve is dash 0. The hot nail governor could be classified under the head of centrifugal type governor. A Porter governor could be classified as deadweight type governor. A watt governor could be classified as pendulum type governor. The quality of governor can be judged by the quality is the none of the above. Quantity is the sensitivity of governor is defined the range of speed by mean speed. The which of the following is the spring controlled by governor? All of the above. The function of governor is to adjusting variation of speed by varying the input engine. The height of watts governor is proportional to 1 by n square. The centrifugal type governor is preferred to the inertia type governor because latter results in difficult to balancing inertia force. The controlling force of governor increases with increased speed. The governor is said to be insensitivity. The rolling force of controlled governor decreases with the radius of rotation. The governor is said to be unstable.